Today I'm going to talk to you about the art of mindful communication, which I also call clean communication. Clean communication means that we communicate with integrity. The word integrity is defined as keeping the truth or the whole intact, and we'll be looking more fully at what this means. Every time we communicate, we create one of two results. We either open up further access to the thoughts, ideas, feelings, or relevant information available to us when we're in communication with others, or we narrow it or even shut down this access. Although we can't ultimately control the responses of other people, because everyone has their own way of hearing and reacting based on a myriad of factors that influence how they receive information, what we do know from the experts in the psychology of communication is that there are tools we can employ that will dramatically increase the chances of having a more successful conversation, one that decreases defensiveness and invites collaboration. Today I'm going to share with you the most effective tools among many that are listed and defined in your Clean Communication handouts. I chose these tools based on feedback that Emily and I consistently get, which is the same feedback I receive in my private practice. It's the request for conflict management tools, tools that can keep communication purposeful rather than having it head off in an unintended direction. The first tool is called the conscious pause. This is learning to deliberately slow down the pace of the conversation and create some space by literally pausing. The more quickly we respond to someone, the greater the chance personal judgment is part of our response. So pausing drops us below impulsive reaction into a more thoughtful, composed response. When one of my clients was overwhelmed at work because of constant requests to add projects to her schedule, she became resentful. She learned to consciously pause each time a request came. This interrupted the habit of saying yes because she was a doer and she enjoyed being seen as someone people could count on. When she learned to consciously pause, she answered authentically, not automatically. She either said no, but we're not always in that situation. So she sometimes would say yes with appropriate qualifiers this time, like making sure she had an appropriate deadline or assistance from another colleague. Her resentment and negativity disappeared. The reason is because she gave a genuine reply. Quick reactions always have more emotion in them. The conscious pause is a downshift into a more thoughtful and genuine response. The next tool is called deal with the data. There are two ways that clean communicators deal with the data. The first way we deal with data is very simply separate the facts from fiction, the truth from assumption or gossip. People who don't deal with facts, when facts are a relevant part of the situation, are not credible. The second way is to deal with the data and its impact. We actually talk about the impact and only the impact the data has had. We're answering the question, what's the result of the data? Data and its impact are not highly arguable or loaded topics. They're clean. In a moment, I'll take you through an example of how this works. But before I go any further, I want to interject here the most common way that we negatively divert a conversation away from its goal and it becomes unclean. It's when we move beyond the data, beyond its impact, and we comment on the intention of another person. This is very provocative. It invites all kinds of reactions, and the conversation typically heads right into the ditch because now we're endeavoring into the other person's psyche or their emotions. We're going into the deeper personal reasons behind their actions. And we cannot address this cleanly or with authority. It often evokes a very defensive reaction. So let's walk through an example of what this looks like. Someone is chronically late to a weekly meeting that you lead. You name the data. Joe, you're about 15 minutes late to our weekly meeting. You name the impact. This disrupts the meeting and it's causing us to fall behind in our agenda. You might name a consequence or make a request if this is appropriate, but it's based on the data. I'd like you to be on time, Joe, from now on. If you can't, I'm going to request that you remove yourself from this project because being on time to the meetings is a requirement. Now you're allowing and empowering Joe to make his own decision within the given parameters about addressing this topic. You address the goal while inviting collaboration, no micromanagement, and no defensiveness. Your focus of concern remained the topic of being late. It got addressed cleanly, with no drama. As I mentioned earlier, the issue of driving a conversation off topic is an issue for many of us. Now let's imagine what would happen if you decided to suggest why you believe that Joe is doing this. Joe, I think you're being disrespectful. I think you might have a time management problem. You cannot know with absolute certainty ever what causes another person's behavior. But even if you do hit it right on the head, you've still diverted the focus to an entirely new area that's emotionally loaded. This isn't clean communication. This is our egos doing the talking. Oh, we can offer support if the other person wants it in addressing the behavior, but it's a different conversation for a different time. The next tool is not only highly effective, but it's considered to be a trait among successful leaders. It's the tool of curiosity. When we're curious, we return to a natural state that supports learning and evolving. One of the immediate benefits is that curiosity and judgment can't share the space. Premature judgment compromises our communication, and curiosity moves that out of the way. It also helps us ask clarifying questions that move a conversation forward and open it up. Research in this area shows that being curious about others' perspectives creates the highest level of investment in the outcome of a project or a shared goal. In leadership, the I know it all approach has proven to shut down creative problem solving. The I really don't know it all perspective has been shown to increase collaboration and cooperation. It's just not possible for you to know everything about another person or a situation. This is why curiosity is considered a high-level, intelligent trait. I mentioned curiosity giving way to clarifying questions to focus your conversation. Here's a practical tip. Start to develop more what questions than why questions. Why can be appropriate, but it does invite an open-ended, more theoretical answer. That's fine if that's what you're after, but often we're looking for a more practical focus, especially in a professional setting. Here's an example of a few. What do you believe needs to change? What kind of support do you need from me? What would you like to have happen here? What questions will give direction and purpose to your conversation, and they typically result in more concrete solutions. Now I'll move on to our final tool for the day. It's called a guiding intention. This is deciding on a specific intention that will anchor you throughout your communication. It's very often based on your values, and your recent values, intentions, and goals process with Emily will support you perfectly here, so have a look at that. Please note a quick distinction between goals and intentions. A goal is external, reaching your sales numbers. An intention is a state of being inside, like staying open-minded or calm. Intentions support achieving the goals. An example of this is a client I had who was really struggling with a very difficult financial negotiation. We set her guiding intention, which was her number one value, fairness and justice. She remembered to include herself in this and what she deserved. Her guiding intention anchored her through a much more successful negotiation. Now you have a group of powerful, effective tools to clean up your communication. If you practice these, you absolutely will communicate with integrity and ease and create a much more positive outcome.